Good morning and welcome to GM Tips. GM Rick, and wow, what a fun-filled weekend I've had. Many ways. So, I got to do the birthday bash with Reign of Winter, which was a lot of fun. First things I got to say, thank you so much to Lisa. Lisa is Paul's wife. She did a four-layer cake that was unfreaking believable. Chocolate icing, raspberry flavoring and filling. Plus, she did both a chocolate and a yellow cake, sponge cake in there. I, I don't even know where to begin. One piece put me into a sugar coma, is all I can say. So it was beautiful. And yeah, wouldn't have traded that for the world. And we had a great time. Everybody came in. Great new player joined us. Guy I've known for many years, think the world of. It's Cliff. And Cliff is such a neat guy. If you haven't gotten to know him, get to know him. He is the artist extraordinaire and really just a fun and lively guy to hang out with. And we had so much fun. It was great getting a big hug from him and seeing him and just having him join our group. I think he's going to bring a dynamic to the group that'll be fun, that'll add an extra level of fun to us. Not that we weren't a good group as we were, but let me just tell you, sometimes you pick the right person to join you, and it just takes you to another notch. And hopefully Kim gets to join us, my fiance, on the next campaign. So we ought to have a real fun group when that comes along. And I taped everything, and I did the taping from my side, which you guys will get to see. However, unfortunately, I taped the other side through my iPad, and it took 16.5 gigabytes, and there was no way for me to compress it, no way for me to get it to work, cut it, splice it, do it the right way. So finally I gave up and deleted it, which is sad because there were some very humorous things. It was really centered on Cliff. You got a picture of also Josh and Brian. Well, you got Josh from about here down. And then you got to see Max, and Max is always fun over there to watch. And then there was Paul. And Paul was kind of off to the left, so you really couldn't see him. And I think part of it was because Mini GM was over there, and I didn't want Mini GM on every shot. So I'm going to recap everything since, I promised the guys I was going to recap this, and this will go up on our website as well. So where were we? Well, we're in the Reign of Winter. And great path, by the way. A lot of fun, a lot of excitement. We have... We're in the end of the second part, beginning of the third part. They're in Baba Yaga's hut. And so we began this week with Baba Yaga's hut. And kind of give you the idea, let me give you a recap real quick of what's going on. The party originally was in Taldor. They started out in Taldor, the country of Taldor, in Opara, the main capital. This is in the Inner Sea realm of Golarion, and it's the Inner Sea region of Golarion, which is the Inner Sea campaign for Pathfinder. It's a little bit modified. I've modified some things in there, so it makes it a little more interesting. Quick snapshot on the backgrounds. Brian plays our paladin Rothar. Rothar is from a convent that was in Taldor. He grew up kind of in a sequestered learning life with his parents. Grew up under the paladin wardship of learning, under the paladins of that order. And he had a vision, shall we say, of the god Cayden Cailean. Cayden Cailean, for those of you that don't play Pathfinder, he is the god that rose up from being a man through the Starstone test. The Starstone is a fallen part of Meteor, and through that test he became a god. And he is the god of freedom. He is the god of anti-slavery. He's the god of bravery and warriors. And he is the god of drinking. And so he believes in a good celebration after a battle. So this god called upon our paladin, which kind of makes it a conundrum. He's a chaotic good god. Paladins are normally lawful good, so we have a chaotic good paladin. Interesting thing. Then you have our ladies' man extraordinaire who got himself into trouble too many times with the nobility in the area of Opara, and that is Josh with Damien, the Fey-blooded sorcerer human Taldoran. And handsome gentleman. He loves to really just live life out to the full and a little bit hedonistic. But we love to have fun with him, and you'll hear us poke fun, especially on my version that's pointing at me on the camera. So we did get to tape that. Then you have Kal-El. Kal-El is the Aasimar of Scott, and Scott you'll hear remotely. He kind of dials in because he's coming in from another state. He moved on us, but we still keep him there with us, and so I love having Scott there. His Aasimar Paladin is neutral good, or not, excuse me, Aasimar War Priest, again the Paladin from Rothar. He worships the Imperials and one of the Imperial Lords, and he has a very hard desire to be a hero. He's a little bit edgy when it comes to that, and really combating the evil of the world. He's creative in the fact that he likes to create different wands and other items, and he works with our other cleric, which is Orin, and he's another Aasimar. But to finish up Kal-El, he grew up in the streets of Opara, and from there he grew up to really, he tutelaged under a priest of this Imperial Lord, and he learned his way to really becoming a holy warrior for the Order. Then you have Orin. Orin is a Aasimar who grew up in Taldor, but he's a little bit of an oddity. He embraced the goddess Sarenrae, and he actually grew up outside of the city, the main city. He grew up on a farm. His parents raised him, but his dad was fell to an accident, and so his stepdad stepped in and took the place of being the father for him, until the day he saw his stepfather torn up by a lycanthrope, a werewolf. And since then, he has been wanting to try to cure the lycanthropy. And he was unable to cure his stepfather, and so he wants to find a way to do that. So that is... but I will say one thing about Orin. He's got a big heart. He is the healer of the bunch. He wants to make sure the party is always, and the people around him are healed and in good health. And so that is one of his main goals. Also to find out why he could not cure his stepfather from the lycanthropy. Then we will move on to some of the other characters in there. Now on to Cliff. Cliff has got an interesting character in Thallo. Thallo grew up in a monastery on Golarion. He is originally from Rahadum. He is an atheist. He does not believe in the gods nor wants to acknowledge them. And he is a seeker of knowledge. In fact, he's obsessed with cataloging life and working with life. So he is an investigator. And he is an interesting character. A little bit at times odd, but fun and funny, and his take on life really gets the party running around 7 different ways. So he's chaotic good, and he's Garundi. He's actually a polyglot from Garand. He's a Mazzali, which the Mazzali are a more learned tribe that inhabited Thubia and Rahadum, as well as the northern part of the Mwangi. So from there, he was orphaned. His parents were killed. They were merchants. And again, he went into the monastery, and the monastery was in Andoran. And Andoran's a city of freedom, so he believes in freedom and does not like slavery. So that rounds out the group. The NPCs in the group are Greta. Greta is a winter wolf, and they met her in the second part of the adventure, the Reign of Winter, and she was guarding the gate, and she fell for our paladin Rothar. So they went and had drinks, and after a time they spent some good conversation, and he charmed her to wanting to be his girlfriend. So from there, Greta has basically she is slowly changing in her demeanor. Now, she was able to get an item from one of the merchants, a Chilaxian, a diabolical Chilaxian. And so she's able to keep her human form and transform into a winter wolf whenever she chooses. and normally that's confined to Whitethrone. Whitethrone has a section of the Winter Wolves where Baba Yaga gave them the ability to either be human or wolf. So they really like that section of it. And many GMs having too much fun. So finally, you have Remily. Remily is a summer fae. Remily is a sprite swashbuckler. She is drawn really well by a happy halfling. She did a great job on really doing the drawing of Remily. Remily is devoted to the court of the Summer Fae, and she is based out of and serves a nymph out of the forest near Heldren in Taldor, where the party met her. She was curious about the party, especially about the sorcerer, and then about Painvin, the other one, which I didn't get Painvin. Good God, Max, you'll shoot me for not giving me a Painvin. He's one of the main supporting characters. So she's endeared to kind of both of them, though she's now intrigued very much by Thallo. Thallo he's kind of unique and odd and funny, so she's now taken to him a little bit. So now we got Painvin. Painvin is the big question mark. He comes from Keonan. He's a half-elf. His background story is a little more vague, and I don't say it because Painvin hasn't given a lot about it. He does serve the court, and he is very anti the Winter Fae, and he is trying to find out if the Winter Fae is trying to encroach not only in Keonan, but around the world. And if so, he wants to stop that on behalf of the Queen of Keonan. And he is a little bit unorthodox in how he handles things. If you ever hear him tell the truth, then you know there's something really wrong. He loves to BS, he loves to lie, he loves to work his way and forge his way around things. He has done a tremendous job throughout the adventure doing that, and even saving the party a lot of combat. He's won a lot of things just through the fact that he's able to forge, lie, and BS his way through it. And so it's kind of interesting. So yesterday's adventure, what happened? Well, we welcomed everybody in. Paul did a great job, by the way, of helping Cliff to get his character all finalized and gave him a lot of knowledge capabilities, which came in handy. So the adventure starts out with Thallo finding himself waking up in the root cellar of Baba Yaga's hut. He doesn't know where he is, but he's in this mysterious root cellar, and oh Lord, everything is out of place. How could they not organize things properly and alphabetize them? So he begins to take things off the shelf of Baba Yaga's storage area, the root cellar, where she has many different items that are useful to the party. Begins organizing the heck out of them. Well, let's just say that catches the notice of the Kikimora that is serving Baba Yaga. And she is a servant of the Baba. And she does not take very well to somebody coming into the root cellar and reorganizing. Her name, by the way, so everybody knows, I always forget these things, but hey, we'll have some fun with it. Hang on with me. Her name's in here. Zorka. God, why do I just forget these things in the morning? I guess because it's early in the morning. So Zorka goes nuts, and a Kikimora has the weird snout that comes up. So here comes this weird snouted little person, little fae, who's probably about 4 foot tall, down the steps, cursing out with Painvin the rogue in tow. This new man who is organizing things. So Thallo doesn't know what to do. He's trying to explain to her that he's trying to categorize things, and she's like, "No, stop it! You are, who are you? Why are you down here? Why are you messing with this? Leave it alone. I have my own organization. Just stop." And this is her way of doing things, and that's the voice I use. And then he, of course, tries to explain more. She goes, No, stop. You will stop. I do not need you to do this. I have my own organization for this. Leave it alone. She turns to Painvin. She goes, "You deal with him. You are guests here too. You deal with this." And so she goes storming up the stairs, and she's muttering. So the party hears all this echoing off the walls of this chamber that has the map room, because the storage place is off the map room, which is off the main part of the kitchen of the hut where you control the hut. So she goes into the kitchen, and the party kind of figures out something isn't right. Well, Painman begins talking with Thallow, and Remily is there. So he notices Remily, which kind of shocks him. Remily's just kicking her legs on Painman's shoulder. That's what she normally does. She's a little less than 2 foot tall. I mean, she's a sprite. All of a sudden, he starts talking about where he's from. He was in a library, and she goes, "Ooh, there's a library up here," which then catches Thallow's interest. Thallow just ignores Painman, then goes straight up the stairs with Remily to the library. Remily, being the happy sort she is, she doesn't have a filter mechanism. Most Fae don't. She has no filter mechanism. So she's leading him. "Oh, this is great. Yeah, let me show you. Oh, this is a wonderful library. Oh, you gotta see it. You gotta see it. Oh, yes. Oh, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it." Hits the thing, and the party's watching this, and watching this dark-skinned Mazzali walking through. Like, who is that? And why is Remily with him? Door opens to Baba Yaga's library. Oh, Lord, you'd have thought Thallow died and went to just book heaven. He is just in awe. He walks into the room, and just the reaction Cliff does from him is just wonderful. And that's what I want to say to you guys. If you don't role play your characters, you're missing the fun. He role plays him with all the faults and flaws, and I love it. He just kind of is in starry-eyed heaven. He's ignoring the big burly party members that are in the kitchen. He's ignoring the Aasimars. He's ignoring everything else that's around him except those books. Now, you guys would think normally, geez, that's how you die as a player. No, it just makes the game much more fun. It means you pay attention to the things that are important to you, and everything else just filters out. So then the party steps up and starts questioning with the war priest Kal-El and Rothar, the paladin, at the head of the group, going, "Who the heck are you? And why? And Remily, why'd you bring him in the library?" And she starts to explain who he is. And then he starts to try to explain who he is. And the party really is not hearing it, because they're trying to go save Baba Yaga. So the last thing they need is some investigator intrigued with the library, sitting in the library. And so they get the conversation going in time. And then they've got the witch. They saved the witch from the last time. So Nazhena is saved from the last one, and she is the baddie at the end of number 2 that the party has to stop to get into the hut. Well, they took her negative hit points, but they didn't kill her, so they chained her up. So Painvin, the chaotic neutral, and the sorcerer Damien, the chaotic neutral, are going to go question her. And so they're having fun, poking fun, and torturing her. Well, at first I'm not thinking she can do anything with the hexes, but then, in all fairness, and I gotta love Josh for this, he goes, "Rick, she can use the hexes without having speech or anything else." I said, "Really?" He showed me where. I'm like, this will be fun now. So now I have her back plotting how she's going to escape. So she puts both Painvin and Damien into a deep slumber. They fail miserably on their will saves. God bless will saves in those two, because their wisdoms aren't that high. The will save just plunge them into darkness. So they're both out, and they just drop to the floor. Well, of course, I say, because Kal-El is the closest to hear this, roll perception. Kal-El and Scott, just in beauteous form, because Scott normally rolls really well. Roll a 1. Nope, didn't hear a thing. Everything just went this way. And so it takes off, and the party basically eventually gets going on their way. They battle her, kill her, which was pretty funny because she doesn't have much hit points. She's got her gag off. She can't do much. She's in chains. She's flying in the back of the room, just trying to find a way to escape. And of course, Rothar, the paladin, puts an arrow in her. Well, it sends her negative. Her fly shuts off. She falls onto the large chair, breaking her neck at an angle. Because he only put her negative. They would have tied her up and cured her and done it all again. But because she's 40 feet in the air in this room, 3d6, she breaks her neck. So the party goes on, has a blast. They get out of there and move the hut to a new place. Well, of course, one of the secrets of the hut that you're going to find out is that you go to a new place, things might shift in the layout of the hut. Baba Yaga does this for a reason. Not going to go into the reason because this is a spoiler. But just say to the party, since they're going to view this, this does happen. So they're going to go out and go exploring, and they've got their new friend, Thallo, to go with them. And this comes the trials of the Ravens. But first they find a secret door. Amazingly, Oren, who is never the most perceptive roller of the bunch, rolls a natural 20, plus his +5 perception, gets a 25. He sees the secret door in front of him clear as day. Because the layout is shifted, there's a secret door in front of him. Well, they get to meet Ratbold. And Ratbold is a barbarian servant of the Baba. And I will show you a picture of him. There he is. It is Ratbor the Bold. So they see this guy sitting in a chair staring at them. And he, of course, goes, "What are you doing here? And why are you here?" And the party at first couldn't figure out what his accent was, but thanks to the new investigator, Thallo, they were able to figure out he's Iobarian. Iobaria is a province that's way up in the north, out in the hinterlands, that is full of barbarians, conquering type barbarians. And so they're able to converse with him and find out that he needs a cookbook to be released. They can leave the hut anytime they want to go searching. But coming back, he's going to fight them on the way back in. And they figured out he's probably a barbarian, so it's not going to be an easy fight. So they're trying to befriend him. And in doing so, they find out that a cookbook would be mighty nice. Well, at that point, the party is getting a little bit tired of talking to him. They haven't explored the new layout. There's hallways going either side, about 120 feet. So they go to these hallways and go down to the end, and they start the trials of the ravens. And there are 3 ravens in there. There's a raven of darkness, there's a raven of some semi-light, moonlight, and then there's one of the morning. And in this, they have to solve these riddles. And this is, for anyone watching now, huge spoilers, just telling you right now. So the first one they came upon was Mok. They didn't know his name, but it's Mok. Mok is in a Desmony room. And basically, he says the following to the party as a challenge. He says, "Baba Yaga is not here, but you can find her. Never fear. First, however, you must persuade me you possess the strength necessary to bear my knowledge." And I was doing it in the voice, "Bear my knowledge, caw, caw. My question is a simple one. Born twins, they live not, yet they grow until death. Their fates are of eventide, ever crescent as the moon, symbols of a warrior's pride. The answer to this question lies in the chamber beyond. Bring me the answer, and I shall give you what you seek." As he flies off. Well, the party goes into the next room. There is a room filled with branches and shriveled trees, and there is a just evil-looking boar. And it's a dire boar, but it's a fiendish dire boar. Oh, the party doesn't know what to do. So Painvin's in the front. The boar goes rushing at him to gore him, and he hits. However, the hit wasn't as good. I rolled double ones, snake eyes, for the damage. So they only took 15 out of a possible 27 hit points damage. So he skirts out the way, and in comes the paladin. And the paladin Rothar lays in for 40-some points of damage on the creature. Because he's got his holy sword. It's a holy avenger sword. He had it enchanted up, and so he's excited. And he finally does damage. Rothar's never been the most martially prowessed, and he's had some real struggles, but in this one, he kicked butt. Then after that comes Kal-El, and Kal-El just does the critical of all criticals on the creature. Does another 96 points of damage. So basically, I tell him, call it. How are you going to do it? He says, I come up from the bottom and lop off its head. Well, at that point, Brian puts in a good comment. He goes, oh, crap. Those tusks are what we need, and they're just going to fall down and crash and break those tusks. We can't have that happen. He says, somebody's got to grab the head as it's coming down. So at first, he thought he was going to do it. Kal-El had another action. So I had him roll. He rolls to catch it in his hand. So the stump of the head is in his hand, bleeding. I award him, of course, some good experience. 200 for Kal-El and 125 for Brian, letting me know and coming up with the idea. I love great role play. So, in comes the investigator, and he sees, because he hears all the commotion from staying behind with Ratbold. He and Remily both come in, and Remily's chattering away because she beats him there. She's like, he caught it. I can't believe he caught it. It looks so cool. He caught it. And he peeks around the corner, and he sees this guy with a bloody head of a boar in his hand. So he dubs him the Boar Killer. And so on we go, and they get this iron amulet, and the amulet looks like this. And the amulet has a symbol on it, and it is a symbol. So basically it says, the raven drops it takes the boar's head and drops the amulet into the hand of one of the party. And he says, this amulet holds only one of 3 clues you seek. It reveals the first ingredient for Baba Yaga's kettle. Look for the key where time catches us all. And he goes, look for the mother when the moon is full. Now, they didn't interpret the ruin. They interpreted everything else on all these other ruins. But one thing to the party, you didn't interpret the ruin. So I'm not going to tell you what it is until you figure it out. But it also is an amulet that is a brooch of shielding that they can wear, which is really cool. So they go to the next one, and the next one is the Challenge of Wit, and this is in a grotto. And so they go into this room that's absolutely pitch black, and then it lights up with a red orb, and there's this weird albino raven with weird, crazy eyes. So he says, while you have convinced me of your intentions, you have yet to convince me of your wit. To prove your cleverness, you must find the answer to my riddle. I mark night's coming, I will mark your end. I run not in fear, I have not a friend. The answer to the riddle lies within the passage of night. To find the path to which you seek, drink the silver chalice within the grotto. Go now and do not return to me unless you prove your worth. So in they go. Painman's leading the way, and he comes to a grotto, and the grotto has 5 little alcoves that are covered in darkness. And there's this bridge that goes out over the water to this area with a landing where they have a pedestal and 5 chalices. The chalices have different things on them. The chalices have a mirror, this carved onto one, an apple, an hourglass, and a thame, which is, I guess, a dagger, and a key. So, Painman goes out there. He first, party's saying hourglass, hourglass. It's the hourglass. So he goes and he drinks some of the wine, and the wine, of course, refills the cup. It's a never-filling cup. But he gets a brief flash of moonlight in one of the alcoves, and it shows him a cage with a lock and a chain around it, and inside is the hourglass. Well, being the greedy man he is, and being the smart man he is, Painman decides, let's go drink the key one, because the key might get me into that. So he drinks it, and it's poisoned. Luckily, he doesn't fail his saving throw. So the rocks go down on the side, because rocks come up as you drink from the cup also, that you can stepping stone across to the cage. Well, every time you drink from a new cup, the old ones go down and the new ones come up. So he has to go back, re-drink from the hourglass cup. They come up, he goes over, makes just a massively good roll with his gloves of thievery. Opens it, no problem. Gets the hourglass. But then he wants the other items. So he goes back and hands the hourglass to one of the players and has Kal-El fly him around. Well, unfortunately... Well, no, I'm sorry. Well, coming back with the hourglass, I forgot that. He slipped, went into the water, and Kal-El barely pulled him out. However, the party had greased the poor thief. The sorcerer Damien did that ahead of time so he could be sneaky enough to get in and out of things if he got caught. Well, it also almost let Kal-El let go of him into the water where he would have suffocated. So they were able to get the hourglass. And so the Raven basically then rewards them. He says, "You have taken upon yourselves a great burden." Rosam caws. Rosam's the name of the second oracle. "For that which you desire the changeling holds. Know this as well. You will find the crone only when the moon wanes." Pretty fun. Oh, I got a kitty behind me. Sorry, that was a sassy sighting. And they were able to get the second key. Well, the second key is the Aegis of Recovery, which the Orin the priest takes with him. And the symbol on it is an Iobarian symbol for gold. So then the third chamber they went into, they met Triva. And Triva was in a kind of a dawn-lit area with very nice growing, flowering plants and trees. And Triva says to them, "Before I aid you, you must first convince me that you have the resolve to fulfill your desire. To prove your mental fortitude, you must face what I, the herald of the coming day, cannot. Each night it visits, sometimes in horror, sometimes in wonder, sometimes profit. And when dawn wakes, it flees. When you face this thing, you shall know its desire. In its desire, you will find your own. Only by sharing the desire with me can I bind your fates. Once they are bound, I will be able to see your destiny." Well, of course, at this time, Rothar is tired of this little game with the ravens. He's like, all right, whatever, moving on. Going through to the room to where the corrowway is. He goes down and finds a bedroom door. He's like, whatever, I'm going to open it. Enough. And he thinks, and of course he makes a smart comment that Damon will take care of things because Damon has that way with women. So the door opens to a small candlelit bedroom with just a plain wooden bed and a nightstand with an iron holder and a candle in it. Well, the party goes in, and they see a small blood stain on the bed. The investigator, and I love Cliff, he just plays this well. Everybody's trying to not make the V joke, the virgin joke, about, you get it. For the female gamers, you get it, what they're saying about the blood on the bed is. So, of course, the investigator, Thallo, goes over and sniffs it to make sure it's blood and what kind of blood it is. Oh, the party just rails in joy on that one, giving him such heck. And as he's doing this, the rest of the party kind of filters in, and the following person appears. She's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. And she's mumbling about, why did she do this to me? Why did she do this to me? I don't understand why. Why do I have to suffer? And so Max does a great job of bluffing. They're trying to find out what happened to her. Well, of course, Kal-El throws in some things, and he's pretty diplomatic, but he fails miserably against her sense motive, even though he gets a 21. And she almost goes off. She starts to rev up, and that starts the beginning of the end for this one. And basically, they had to find out that, number one, her desires are that she wishes she could be released. And second, she wants revenge on the Baba for sucking her life out. And she touches Damien, which Damien reaches out thinking, okay, I'll touch her, maybe this will help. Oh, no. She is an animated dream. So she sucks life with the negative energy. Hits him for a low roll. Could have been up to 48 points of damage. He only took about 15. So, and then he gets sent into a nightmare state, which fatigues him. And he sees how the Baba just drains this woman of life. And so, horrific as it is. So what does Cliff do? He thinks, okay, I'm not a combatant, but these guys will handle this dream. I got to get it to go away and dispel. So he takes the bloody sheets and takes them out to the water where the raven is and tries washing them. Got to give him credit on that one. That was pretty freaking cool. So then he does that, and the party is just like, oh my lord, what's going on? And so the paladin moves in. He's going to get a strike on this woman as she goes by to attack Kal-El and hit him again for low damage, and he makes the save. Greta goes to hit her as an attack of opportunity, rolls a 1 with a critical fail, and knocks herself out. So now this NPC is out. Remley is helping Painvin to backstab away at this dream, but because it's an animated dream, it's in Imperial, half damage. So the Paladin Rothar takes Greta out and goes to the thing to help the investigator wash the sheets. While this is going on, the combat ensues. Finally, Kal-El is able to take her down on a nice strike, and she disappears going, ah! But will she return? No one knows. They talk to the Raven and finally tell him what he wants to know, which is her secrets. Can't figure that out because a dream cannot be there in daylight. So, finally, she says, so be it. Seek now the sisters three who are one, mother, maiden, and crone. But know that the maiden is elusive and may be only caught by the waxing moon. And the amulet, it has a symbol on it as well. And the amulet is a chime of opening. And its deal says Artosia, which is where they have to go. And finally, they're able to talk to Rapbor. And Rapbor says, oh, yes, Artosia is to the north of the Devezda swamps, or the Devezda area, which they're in right now. And so they've got to figure out from there what to do, and that's where we leave the party, but with much mirth and fun. It was a very eventful day, and I got to say, the humor and just the banter and the side banter, the celebrating, the great gifts that Kim had come in. I got the Weapon Masters and Armor Masters books, as well as the Mummy Mask dice and the beautiful purple and blue dice, cerulean type of dice. But then Kim went out and got me another set of dice, with a little bit of her own motive to it too, because she wanted to do some Poke hunting as a Pokemon trainer. But it was a great day, and we had a great time, and I appreciate Kim, suffering through. She got a migraine yesterday, so she was very tolerant with us as we played and had a good time. But it was a great session, and I wanted to give you guys a recap. No, it's not the 2.5 hours of mirth that I could have given you, but it was a lot of fun, and it's a fun recap for the party as well. And the party also can now note back the things they didn't write down. So I hope everybody has a great week. It was a great time playing. It was a great GM tips, and hopefully I'll get it set to where I can show you guys some records, and I know you guys have been begging for them to see the party, and the group wants it too for playback so they can get things. So have a great week, everybody. Have a great week, my party. Great job, and I look forward to the next session, and we'll see everybody soon.